One thing in Europe is there is a significant loyalty to businesses. So once you find a pharmacy you like, you go to that pharmacy every single time, and the pharmacy gets to know you. And the pharmacist can actually prescribe some medications for you. They can treat colds and minor infections and that sort of thing. And then they know that you're authorized to pick up Sinemet because your mother has Parkinson's. So they'll give you, if you say, hey, I'm going to be traveling for 3 months, they will give you 3 months.
Wow, that's incredible.
Hi, I'm Kim Tolson and I'm the traveling therapist. It's my passion to teach therapists how to navigate online private practices and multiple income streams so they can travel the world. I'm a digital nomad with a virtual insurance-based private therapy practice and a multi-six-figure coaching business. I'm obsessed with entrepreneurship and developing tools that can help therapists live an adventurous lifestyle. In this podcast, I will discuss my journey as a digital nomad. I'll chat with other traveling therapists and help you navigate the complexities of running an online insurance-based practice. I'm so glad to have you with me on this journey. Building a private practice can be challenging. I know for me, when I was starting out, I had no idea how to get referrals. I had no idea how to manage paperwork. I knew nothing about insurance billing. The whole process was really daunting. Building a private practice can be challenging, to say the least. I remember when I was starting out, I had no idea how to get referrals. I had no idea how to navigate insurance. I had no idea even what paperwork was required. So growing a caseload, navigating insurance, and managing billing and paperwork all take significant amounts of time. And that's all in addition to delivering great care to your clients. That's why Alma gives clinicians the tools they need to build a thriving private practice. When you join their insurance program, you can get credentialed within 45 days and access to enhanced reimbursement rates. They also handle all the paperwork from eligibility checks to claim submissions, and they guarantee payment within 2 weeks of each appointment. So in addition to their insurance program, Alma also offers time-saving tools and administrative support, so you can spend less time on paperwork and more time delivering great care to your clients and traveling the world. Learn more about building a thriving private practice with Alma at helloalma.com/Kim. That's hello, ALMA.com/KYM to get started.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Traveling Therapist Podcast. So I'm really excited today because I've decided to sort of expand our reach a little bit. Typically, I've been hosting these episodes with other therapists, but I thought it would be really fun to start reaching out to people in other industries that are managing really unique lifestyles while they're traveling on the road, to give us maybe a different perspective to see how other people are doing it. And I put a post out on a Facebook group. There's one where you can ask for guests. And I said, hey, is anybody interested in telling me or my audience about being a digital nomad and how you're managing that? And do you have a really cool, unique story that you'd like to share? And our next guest is somebody that answered my post, and I'm really excited about it. Her name's Jasmine. I'm going to try to say her last name, Mastrolia. I hope I said it correctly.
You did.
So, Jasmine, thank you for being here. And I'd love if you would just maybe give a little rundown about who you are and what you do. And then let's talk about your unique situation with your traveling lifestyle.
Absolutely. So I am a social media manager and copy content writer for lifestyle service businesses, including those in the travel space. So traveling has always been a big part of my life. I grew up with a world traveler. My mother was a travel agent. So traveling has always been a very big part of my life. When I became a social media manager, when I made that career switch, I took the opportunity to start traveling more. And now my mother's disabled, so I brought her with me, and we have a home base in Europe now. And we get to travel and see all of these amazing things, experience new cultures, and it's been terrifying, but also wonderful.
I love that. Let's talk about that part too. But the thing that really drew me in about your story is you're traveling with your mother, who is disabled. I mean, ill, chronically ill. And, I hear that a lot with the traveling therapists. It's like, I can't. I've got all these family obligations. I've got a sick family member or somebody I have to stay home with, and I can't go live this lifestyle that I want to live. So I'd love if we could talk about that. I think you had shared with me that she has Parkinson's, right? Early
Mhm.
onset Parkinson's. And
Yeah.
I just would love to hear, how are you managing that? How do you manage the medical piece and her symptoms? And let's talk about that. It's amazing.
Well, so we were worried about it early on. It's not feasible for everyone, but I think a lot of
Yeah.
people rule out traveling because when it is still an option, a lot of people don't realize that it's not going to be as hard as you think it is. You fall into a groove. We have been fortunate to find amazing neurologists who specialize in her condition in every country we've been in that we needed that.
Wow.
We actually, our home base is in the Mediterranean in a country called Albania. A lot of people haven't heard of it or don't know much about it, but the Mediterranean actually has a pretty high rate of Parkinson's.
Mhm.
Just genetically, they have more of
Oh.
this susceptibility to it, which means we also have access to some amazing specialists, and care overseas has been incredible. There's a different approach. Different medications are available. So my mother was having difficulty with the medication that is primarily used in the States, Sinemet. And in Europe, the doctors recommended switching her off of Sinemet, which was terrifying, and I wanted to say no, to a different medication called Matapar. And it turns out Matapar actually solves so many issues. She had less interactions with it. She can take less of it and have her symptoms better managed. There's less side effects, like she had significant nausea with the Sinemet. And Matapar isn't even an option in the States. Well, in
Wow.
Europe, it's the gold standard. So if any people are traveling with someone who maybe isn't managed as well as you might hope, you might find new options. There's different studies happening and things like that. And I don't know about you, but to me, more doctors' opinions, the better, because everyone has different approaches, and everything,
Yes.
every management option, it works differently for each individual patient. So you never know what's
That's
gonna.
amazing. Yeah, I mean, oh my God. Yeah, the price of medications, even in America, as opposed to like in other countries, is just incredible. Like I had to get a medication from a Canadian pharmacy because my insurance didn't cover it. I had to have it shipped down. So that's amazing. And so are you guys US citizens and then you are moved to Albania, or do you have dual citizenship? Like, how are you working that out? I'm just curious about that.
We are American citizens. We are working on getting our dual Italian citizenship right now because we are eligible for that. And that will give us an EU passport, which I very much want to have. And then we have a residency permit in Albania after 5 years. So 4 more years for me. We'll be eligible for dual citizenship, or at that point, triple citizenship with Albania as well, if we choose to take it.
That is amazing. Yeah. So how does it work? Like, okay, you go to Albania, right? Did you choose Albania because you knew that they had great medical care there, or like what's the thought process around that? I'm just so curious.
So Albania was an accident. When we decided we were going to do this, we decided on Italy because we knew we were eligible for the citizenship. We wanted to apply for that. We actually do have family in Italy.
Nice.
Who could help us, who could introduce us to Italy, and so we moved to Italy, figuring we would travel from there, which we did some. We got to see France and Switzerland. I traveled all around Italy. I saw so many different things, and we were there about a year when COVID hit.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
And so we stayed because what are you going to do? And Italy locked down very, very much. And we were actually renting a house right outside of a city. And one of the rules was that you couldn't travel between cities. And since we weren't in a city, I couldn't get to the grocery store. I would have to negotiate with the police once a month. That was the max they would let me do, to go and get food. And there were strict rules. After a year of this, they were about to head into another heavy lockdown. And we said, we can't do this again. At one point, I was feeding my dogs zucchini out of the yard because I had no dog food.
Oh my gosh.
It took time to negotiate with the police each time. So We decided we couldn't do it again. We booked a flight to Istanbul, which got canceled because COVID. And we decided to hop, we had 3 days. We decided to hop on the very next ferry out of Italy that we could get on, and it was going to Albania.
Wow. Oh my God, I just got goosebumps. Oh,
We thought we would stay in Albania for a month while we regrouped and figured something out. And instead, within an hour of getting off the ferry, we were in love. It is a beautiful country. They are the friendliest people I have ever met.
wow.
And then a month after we had been here, we decided to test out the medical system because we were considering staying. And the medical system just really impressed me. And that was kind of the final nail in the decision that this was the place where we felt at home.
I love that. That's
So
amazing. So when you say test out the medical system, what does that process look like? Because I'd love for people to learn, like, all right, I'm going to go to Italy. I want to go hang out in Italy for a while, but how do I access the healthcare system? Like, or Albania, how do I even figure out that process? What does someone go through to do that?
So the first step was we attended an expat meetup group, which they have in basically any city you're going to go to. And we went there and we asked other expats, have you been into the medical system? How does that work? Do you have hospital recommendations? Do you have doctor recommendations? Do you know anyone who has a similar condition that I could ask for recommendations? That sort of thing. And obviously with my mother, the specialist is the most important. So we decided if we can't find a good neurologist, this is not a place where we can stay. I mean, technically we could hop the boat to Italy or a plane to Italy and go back to the neurologist there, but I would prefer to not have to do that. And so we did that, and everyone kept telling us to go to the American hospital here. It was built decades ago by the American military. It is now Albanian run, but it's called the American hospital, and there they have English speaking doctors, which when you're navigating in a foreign country, you want the medical care to be in your language.
Yeah,
there is enough going on. And then I did research on their neurologists and looked at their credentials. One thing I found in Italy and in Albania was they're very clear about where they studied, any major accomplishments, any studies they've run, that sort of thing. So you can get a very good idea on their knowledge and their skill set.
Nice.
So I did that research, and we found one of the neurologists had a significant interest in motor disorders and even more in Parkinson's. And we set up an appointment. I called the hospital and I set up an appointment, and we were going for what's basically a well visit. So there was nothing wrong. This was mostly to vet the doctor and see how we felt about her. Did we feel like she was giving accurate information? Was she listening? Navigating the hospital? Were we rushed? Or that sort of thing? And we were not rushed. In fact, I honestly can't even tell you how amazing the experience was. It is, the hospitals here have been some of the best medical experiences I've ever had. It's been really impressive, the level of care they provide. We had an escort. They wanted some tests run. We had an escort to take my mother to the tests, make sure she got set up, and pick her up and take her to the next test.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, to meet other specialists, because they wanted to get her set up with a cardiologist and a rheumatologist and that sort of thing, which was really amazing to have a guide for that. And that seems to be the standard. We saw other people with their own guide kind of thing. And the doctor was really good about hearing what medications my mother was on, what medications she couldn't go on for various reasons, symptoms that she was still having on a regular basis that were disturbing her quality of life. The doctor was really great about that. And she is still our doctor. We've been here 2 years, and she is still my mother's doctor. So that says something about how good she is.
Wow. So is this like a self-pay, like out-of-pocket pay kind of situation, or is it universal healthcare, or do you use do you still have insurance in America that covers international medicine?
So It's a little bit of a mix. The American Hospital is a private hospital, so that one is self-pay.
Okay.
We do also have Albanian health insurance. It's required for residency. So if we needed to have surgery or go to the doctor for a regular visit kind of thing, we could do that at one of the public hospitals and have it completely covered. And then the emergency hospital operates on basically universal healthcare. There is absolutely no bill. I shadowed my last year. I was in and out within an hour. I saw an orthopedic specialist. They set it, they did x-rays and set up a follow-up visit all within an hour, start to finish. There was less than 5 minutes wait time. And it was and I didn't pay a penny for it. And I tried.
You're like, I have to pay for this.
I tried.
Wow. So is that because you had been living there for a certain amount of time, or is that anybody, like if you're just in Albania, the public health system, if you have an accident or something, they will cover it?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Anybody. If you have an emergency and you go to, they call it Spitali Traumas, the trauma hospital, which is our version of an emergency room as Americans, but they have an entire hospital and they have someone from every specialty that might have an emergency like that available, so that you can see an orthopedic specialist or a cardiologist immediately. But it is available to anyone. If you came to Albania for a week and you got hit by a bike like I did, you could get your wrist set for absolutely free.
That is incredible. Unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure we'd talk about this the whole time, but I'm just so curious about how you navigate this. So before we hit record, you said, okay, yeah, we also want to go to Africa and we want to do this and that. So how do you manage like taking enough medication with you or getting care in the other countries while you guys are doing this? Or do you keep it like kind of short and try to come back to Albania as the home base? Like, I'm just curious how you manage all that stuff.
Going in network with insurance can be tough. For example, waiting a year to get credentialed in some cases. Filing all the right paperwork is time consuming and tedious, and even after you're done, it could take months to get credentialed and start seeing clients. That's why Alma makes it easy and financially rewarding to accept insurance. When you join the insurance program, you can get credentialed within 45 days and access to enhanced reimbursement rates. They also handle all the paperwork from eligibility checks to claim submissions, and they guarantee payment within 2 weeks of each appointment. Once you've joined Alma's insurance program, you can see clients in your state of licensure, regardless of where you're working from. This is particularly exciting for me as a traveling therapist, as I know it is probably for you too. You can literally be anywhere and still see your clients through Alma. Learn more about building a thriving private practice with Alma at helloalma.com/Kim. That's helloalma.com/KYM to get started.
We generally do keep it short because too much time out of her normal routine does stress my mother out. Gotcha. So 2 weeks is the absolute limit really on travel, although we generally try and do a week at a time because the stress level for her goes up on week 2 and then it goes up for me. And I am way meaner. So we bring medicine with us, but one of the things I've loved is here, if I need to pick up, say, 6 months of medicine for some reason, they'll give it to me. Part of that is the condition my mother has. There is no real risk of abuse of the medication.
Right.
No one takes Matapar or Sinemet to get high.
Right.
Also, there's a level of trust from the pharmacies here, and the pharmacies. One thing in Europe is there is a significant loyalty to businesses. So once you find a pharmacy you like, you go to that pharmacy every single time, and the pharmacy gets to know you. And the pharmacists can actually prescribe some medications for you. They can treat colds and minor infections and that sort of thing. And then they know that you're authorized to pick up Sinemet because your mother has Parkinson's. So they'll give you, if you say, hey, I'm going to be traveling for 3 months, they will give you 3 months.
Wow. That's incredible.
But so we haven't needed doctors everywhere. Whenever we do travel, I do make sure to look up a doctor in case we had an emergency. I know what emergencies my mother is likely to need a specialist for, and I make sure that we have the name of one of those near where we'll be staying.
Smart.
That way,
Yeah.
if we have, if something happens with her Parkinson's, which normally doesn't advance fast, but if she got a head injury or something, I want someone who knows about Parkinson's in on the case, and I would have a name to call. Or if she has orthopedic problems, I would have a knee surgeon that I already know has the skill. And that's it.
Right.
So,
Gotcha.
and then
So
we
did you have this?
travel
Oh,
with
go
a
ahead.
medical binder, which has
Oh,
her medical
smart.
records, so that again, if we have an emergency, I can pull that out and tell you exactly when she had surgery, or exactly what medication she's on, the dosage, how long she's been on it, what she's allergic to, side effects, that sort of thing. And anyone who's traveling with someone with health issues, I strongly recommend keeping a medical binder.
That is so smart. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And I know for me, like I have celiac disease. So, I always take like a card that translates, my condition into the language where I'm going to be traveling to. I don't know if you've run into that. I mean, I feel like everywhere I go, everybody pretty much understands English at this point,
Yes.
everywhere I've been anyway. But I still try to do that like in the native language, just like a basic kind of medical description of what's happening so I can advocate for myself if I need to. Yeah.
Yeah, I learn how to say Parkinson's disease and help in any language I need to, especially in new cities. She doesn't go walking around without me, really, because Parkinson's balance issues, unfamiliar environment, it's not a good plan.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yes. Oh my gosh. So did you find that Italy had the same level of healthcare, like easily accessible for somebody that wasn't already a resident there, or
Easily accessible? Absolutely. They operate a little differently in that the doctors normally have their own offices. Obviously, there are hospitals for emergencies and surgeries and that sort of thing, but when you're just going to a neurologist, it would be his own office. So they're not escorting us to the rheumatologist, because it could be across the city. It's an entirely unconnected doctor. They would just say,
Gotcha.
"You need a rheumatologist." Where Albania, the doctors pretty much all work out of the hospitals, in my experience, or a clinic with multiple doctors. But our neurologist in Italy had his own office. He was the only doctor there, that sort of thing.
I see. Gotcha. So interesting, all these different healthcare systems and how to navigate them. So wonder about medications, your mom's medications in Albania, are they expensive or more affordable, or is it covered? Like how does that work?
It is significantly more affordable. After insurance, just copays in the States, we were paying somewhere around $1,500 to $2,000 a month for her medications. And then we had one medication that actually stopped being covered by insurance, and it went up to $8,000 a month for that one medication for a month's supply. We had to drop that one because that was in Albania, paying for her medications completely out of pocket. We pay at maximum about $150 a month.
Wow. That's
so
incredible.
We're about a tenth of the price.
Unbelievable.
And less, because some of the pills, it ends one box or bottle is a 2 or 3 month supply.
Oh my God. That is just, it's amazing, but sickening at the same time.
It's
like,
one of
oh
those
my
things.
gosh.
It is an area that I really think the states do need to work on, is the medical care, because traveling has shown me that it can be done better, that the system can be done better. And I think it's not only better for the patients, but I think it's better for the doctors too. Doctors go into medicine to help people. And I think the system in America ties your hands so much.
Yeah.
So
true.
It's one of those
Thank
things.
you. Thank you for sharing about that. Wow, it's so interesting. I think this is going to be so helpful to a lot of people that are struggling with similar problems or feeling stuck, like they can't get out or go explore other countries. So thanks a lot for being so open and honest and just about how to navigate that. It's amazing. It really is.
Eye-opening.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Just to hear you talk about it, it gets me thinking. It's like, wow, there's other medications I probably could be taking for things, but I don't because my insurance doesn't cover it. Or, it's just the quality of healthcare just isn't that great when you can't afford these crazy expensive medications. So thanks for talking about that. So just to shift gears a little bit, you had mentioned in the beginning that you said something like you chose this copywriting career, or you changed to this career.
Mm-hmm.
Did you change to this so you could travel and work at the same time, or did it just happen out that way?
It was a little bit of both. I have always my entire life wanted to live abroad, at least for a period of time. I was in a full-time in-office job that was a fair amount of stress. I loved it, but it was a fair amount of stress, and there were other things going on. My mother had retired on disability a year or two earlier, and we were having issues with me leaving the house. So I did want something remote where I would be home in case she fell, sort of thing. We kind of saw an opportunity to move, so we took it. And immediately I started looking for work, and I was actually thinking I was going to be virtual assistants, but I've always had some skill in writing. So I wanted to pursue that as well, and it worked. It was a little bit of just everything falling into place.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. Yes.
And then the social media was a complete accident.
Yeah, was it?
One of my clients asked me to handle their social media. I was already writing for them, and they asked me to handle their social media, and it just grew from there. So,
wow, that's really cool. Yeah. So now you have a great business, and you can take it anywhere. And
I have some great clients to work with, and I've gotten to expand from where I started and into different niches and expand my skill set, learn so much. It's flexible. So if I want to go out during the day, I can work at night or on weekends or whenever. And it lets me take care of my mother and see places that I would never have the time to see working a full-time job with 2 weeks vacation. So.
Exactly. Yeah. We really promote that here on this podcast. I've got lots of different income streams, but my whole goal in making them was for it to be super flexible. So everywhere we go, I can go see the places that I'm in. I'm not like just tied to my desk or the one-to-one client model that a lot of therapists are kind of stuck with, like I've got to see 30 clients a week, and it's just the one-to-one where you can kind of you can scale it up. If you've got these skills, like you're talking about copywriting or other things that you can expand upon and build a business around. So I think that's really cool. Yeah.
It's been great. I think traveling's really helped me with my work as well. It taught me to be more patient and a little more flexible.
Nice.
So I think I've gotten better at problem solving, handling new issues that pop up suddenly, that sort of thing. I'm calmer about them, and I think I'm solving them in a more healthy and useful manner. And then obviously writing for travel companies, having actually traveled does help.
Super helpful. Yeah. Firsthand experience for sure. That's really cool. And you had shared before we hit record that, since I'm a therapist, you had mentioned that you also had struggled with some mental health stuff at a younger age and how traveling had helped. I'd love if you want to touch on that a little bit.
Absolutely. I am a huge advocate for people acknowledging mental health issues and then working to manage them, sharing that knowledge, because we don't talk about it enough, I think. And there's a stigma attached, and it doesn't help the people who do struggle from it. It doesn't help people who just simply don't understand it and have a family member who struggles from it. So I was diagnosed when I was 12 with the full diagnosis is severe clinical treatment resistant depression. My body does not metabolize the medications well, so they tend to not actually do what they're really supposed to do on me, or at least not enough to make a difference. And it did mean, especially when I was younger, thoughts of suicide and that sort of thing. So it was hard, and it made me overreact. I took everything very personally, like I was a failure if something went wrong.
Oh, right.
So, and that would set off the depressive episodes, severe depressive episodes. And it's very, as a therapist, how hard that can be to get out of. And it turns into moving abroad, I am not cured. I'm not going to even claim I am. I'll never be cured. But moving abroad really showed me how strong I am to handle things that come up in a different country, in a foreign language with no real safety net.
Yeah.
Because if I lost my housing tomorrow, it's a 6-hour flight plus connections back to any family kind of thing.
Yes. Wow.
So I really, I have to make things work. So I've really learned my own strength, and that's helped. I can hold on to that when I'm having the depressive episodes, and it kind of helps pull me out of them a little more. I did work with the therapist in the States to learn to identify my triggers and intrusive thoughts and everything. And that was a very big help for me. And I think I've been able to build on that overseas as well. And for me, some of what helped was a new environment where I could build the life I really wanted without feeling my past intrude on it. So people will say, wherever you go, there you are, that moving isn't going to solve all your problems. But sometimes it does make a difference. Mindsets, the new environment, a fresh start can make that difference. It did for me. So I understand why those people say that, but I think it scares a lot of people who think there won't be any improvement from moving when there might be. It's really individual.
Right.
So.
Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, definitely changing your environment, getting away from, toxic people or places where things have happened. I mean, definitely can be a positive for people. So,
Yes.
and it's fun to be in new cultures and learning about different things and just like breathing in the energy of a new place. Like, I think that's super helpful for people too. If it's not too overwhelming, like if you're really depressed, then it can get really overwhelming, but I hear what you're saying. Yeah.
It's been great. I have some insecurity about my relationships with my family. So being overseas and having a little bit distance put that in perspective for me. And the fresh start where I didn't feel like my family was going to be right there saying whatever embarrassing thing I did as a child kind of thing.
Yeah, I totally get that.
So.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. So I don't know. I mean, if this is too personal or anything to say, it's fine to say, but are you still on medication for your mental health? Like, are you able to get that in Albania? Has that been a challenge?
Get it.
Okay.
It depends on the medication, but you can in general get it.
Okay.
I am not, because I actually tended to react worse to the medications. But my mother she's on amitriptyline for sleep issues that come with Parkinson's, but also come from her own depression, because there's a depression component to Parkinson's. And she is able to get her amitriptyline over here. They tried her on other medications, but amitriptyline really is what works best for her on that.
Nice. So
you can get it. People with ADHD, though, should know that it is very, very hard to get ADHD medication in Europe.
Interesting. Yeah.
I won't say impossible, but it can be very, very difficult. So if someone with ADHD was looking to travel, that's just something to research in advance. Will you be able to get it? Will you be able to get the medication you're on?
Wow.
What hoops do you have to jump through? And you can absolutely bring it with you.
Okay. Interesting.
But if you wanted to live abroad, you may have to do a little pre-planning.
That's very interesting. I wonder why that is. I mean, is it just because it's usually an amphetamine and they aren't really prone to prescribe things like that in Europe? Or?
It is partly that, because of the addictive potential. It's also ADHD is very underdiagnosed in Europe from the people I've spoken to and everything, that they really tend to find or tend to believe that it's caused by other things. So they treat it other ways.
Interesting. Oh,
yeah.
So interesting. Wow.
More behavioral therapy and that sort of thing then.
That is really interesting. Okay, guys, if you're listening, make sure you bring your ADD medicine with you.
It is something, and I know ADHD is the big one, but we did research my mother's medications before we moved. Would we be able to keep her on the same? And I recommend anyone with any sort of a chronic condition do that, because even it may just be that you have to change brands, and you need to know that. Make sure you know the generic name of your medication. Make sure you know it's amitriptyline and not whatever a brand name for amitriptyline is, which I don't even remember.
Yeah.
Sinemet though is Sinemet or levodopa. Know it as levodopa kind of thing. Because when you go into a pharmacy, they may very well be working off different brands.
Gotcha. Yeah,
And
it's really
look
good
ahead.
advice.
You can always bring medication with you. So
Nice. I love that. Thank you so much. This is so helpful. So if somebody needs a copywriter, how do they reach out to you? How do they work with you? I'd love for you to share that.
So I have a website. It is jasminemastrolia.com. I am on all social media, although I don't post as often to my own page as I should since I'm busy with my clients. Yeah, go to my website, jasminemastrolia.com. There is a link there to email me. I am resetting up my portfolio so that it's a little easier to navigate and you'll get to see pieces of work I've done and everything.
I love that. Thank you. And we'll put the links in the show notes too, so you guys can click right through and check her out and work with her if you want to. Yeah, it's amazing.
I would love that. I would love to work more with people in the medical sphere. It's with my family's medical history, it's become very important to me to support doctors in the medical community.
Yeah, thank you.
They've done a lot of good for us. So
that's amazing. Well, thank you so much. This has been so helpful. And you guys, please reach out to her. So Jasmine, do you do copywriting, social media? Do you do like sales pages? And do you just do it all? Or is there like a specialty area? Or
I can do any writing for the website. So about pages, basic copywriting on, for instance, your homepage about who you are or what you do. But my real specialty is blog content to help with SEO.
Oh,
I focus on organic SEO, valuable content that provides value to the readers to build that connection so that businesses end up with loyal clients. And that's where I really made a mark. So
that's amazing. Yeah, gosh, any therapist listening here has got a blog on their website. So it's super useful. Yeah, it really is, to driving traffic and finding your ideal clients that you want to work with. Yeah, it's amazing. Niching down.
Knowledge, talking about something like depression or ADHD in a blog may help someone realize they're not alone in the boat. That is the biggest thing we learned with my mother, is it sucks to be alone in the boat. When you think you're the only one with these problems and you don't know that it's a problem because you don't know there's another way. And I think that's where blog content can really help, especially in the medical community, is it gives people a clue that, hey, you don't have to feel that way.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much for spending time with us today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on. I hope people find the courage to know that they can travel no matter what's going on in their life if they work at it. So that it's worth it.
Yes, most definitely. Totally agree. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to the Traveling Therapist podcast. For show notes, links, and downloads, head over to thetravelingtherapist.com, where you'll be able to learn more about my journey, the courses I've created for you, and other exciting resources to make your dreams become a reality. If you've enjoyed this episode, please share with your traveling therapist friends, subscribe to the podcast, and if you love this episode, please leave a review.